What is up, everybody? It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that project or show, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world in 2022 and 2021. And we're just calculating 2023 numbers, but it looks like it's going to happen last year also. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Broadcasting live, I guess it's January 13th, almost halfway through the month of January. But like Toronto, where I am, and most of North America, we're in a deep freeze. And I was thinking today, sometimes weather can be havoc in this part of the world, and it can sometimes cause havoc with Aisha K. Staggers. But Aisha K. Staggers is here. LaLa Key is here. What's going on, ladies?
Day today.
You what?
We had a 63 day today.
63 degrees?
That was the high. That was the high. It's now like down to like 48 or so. But yeah, it was 63 today after like freezing all week. And we had, 6 inches of snow. And then the next day, it was like 52. All gone.
We had like 2 or 3. We had 2 or 3 inches of snow last night. Then around 11 o'clock last night, it began to rain. And then heavy rain this morning. I said, okay, let me get outside and shovel my driveway before the temperature drops, because I don't want a driveway of ice. Yeah. So that's done. And our temperatures are going to like really plunge over the next few days, probably going into a deep freeze.
Ours too.
So, but that goes on. That goes on. How is LaLa Key? What's going on?
It's been a week. Monday is the anniversary of my sister's accident, and so I'm struggling.
Yeah. We are with you in spirit and in heart, and I know you didn't have to be here, especially during this sort of time, but you chose to be here, and we appreciate your choice.
Yeah, and that first year after losing a sibling is always the hardest. That first anniversary of their passing is always the hardest. Does it get better? It gets better, but it doesn't. That emptiness still lingers.
Absolutely. It's quite something. So before we go any further, other than that, what's been going on this week?
Oh, what's not been going on this week? We are in a circle. You know those carousels, those little they go round and round. That's what I feel like we're in. We're in a carousel of just
merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, it's like that old Billy Preston song, "Will It Go Round in Circles?"
Yeah.
Or the old Keith Sweat song, "Merry-Go-Round." And
we're going to talk about
Keith Sweat. I have a song that I wrote about the merry-go-round.
Keith Sweat.
Yeah.
Keith, did any of you ever see him in concert?
No, he's not my favorite.
I did in the 80s because I saw a New Jack Swing concert.
What did you think?
Okay.
I heard okay. So get ready, folks. This is going to be good.
I like the music. I love it because I love New Jack Swing. His face looks like clay, like mud, like somebody just like slapped the pieces on a Mr. Potato Head. But Keith Sweat can't sing.
Thank you.
He cannot. Here, if we're being honest, Keith Sweat can't sing. He can beg. He can whine.
Shame.
But he cannot sing. Teddy Riley put him on good.
Yes, he did. I can't stand him, so I can't. I can't stand that whiny no tune. He can't carry a tune. And y'all fussed about your boy who was doing auto tune and he can sing. What's your boy's name?
T-Pain.
Yeah, T-Pain. Yeah, no, even auto tune.
Baby, please.
I'm glad because I agree. I said he was one of the concerts that I walked out on. Well, I stayed. I said this guy can't sing. A concert I did walk out on is Blackstreet.
See, I like Black.
Really?
I like Black.
It was.
Which version of Blackstreet did you see? That's the important
Ah,
I didn't think.
because
Can't
there's
remember.
the what is his name? God, his name escapes me.
You'll remember. It's all
But
right.
once you come out in the middle of everything else, she gonna say,
That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Yeah, the
David
Keith Sweat.
Hollister. Dave Hollister.
David Hollister. Okay.
That version, that's the first version. But after Dave Hollister left, he replaced him, and then
Yeah, no, the Keith Sweat. I went. This guy is not the greatest singer. But let's get to some other things before we get started. We banter around. So subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show. Please subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. To advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I host or produce, please email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also want you to join the Primetime Saturday. I didn't change it. Saturday, it should be Saturday. I'll change it before we finish tonight. Saturday with LaLa Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Check out the Primetime Saturday store. I'll make sure I put the links to it in your comment section wherever you're watching this. And also check out at Patreon, where you can get exclusive content.
Yeah, we have a paid Patreon, and we also have some content that's free. So like, the 10 and 10s, if you're not in the Discord group, the 10 minutes is available for free. If you want to see a whole hour, you have to sign up for membership.
Excellent. Actually, I want to give a shout out today. There is an organization in Toronto called the Walnut Foundation. And what they're all about is a group of Black men who have organized. It's a not-for-profit that addresses or really wants to make awareness of prostate cancer. And prostate cancer is very prevalent, higher prevalency in Black men than non-Black men.
Yes.
And they were having a clinic today at the Jamaican Canadian Association. I've interviewed the lead of that organization, Anthony Henry, a few weeks ago, and he wanted to know if I could come out and do it. So them, in conjunction with Princess Margaret Hospital, which is one of the world-renowned hospitals for cancer, conflicting or battling cancer in the world, had a great clinic, was a great time there. And people, okay, so I didn't, no, it's gone, but I did take my PSA test. I do it usually, but I said, let me just do it. So good gathering of Black men, they're getting their PSA test. And the nice thing is they'd have to pay a cent. And even if they didn't have, they are targeted specifically for those Black men that haven't had a PSA test done in a year and did not have a doctor, because if you don't have a doctor, there are some moments where you have to pay for a PSA test.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And they were offering this for free of charge. So a shout out to Anthony Henry and the Walnut Foundation. So
Yes.
any other, let me just get some things, some people saying hello here. JJ Mars from Arizona, what is up? Oh, wow. Galen Bingham, long time. Yeah, it's 13 degrees in St. Louis currently. And actually tonight there's a football game in Kansas City, and they're predicting it's going to be the coldest NFL game played.
And they're further south than we are.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, JJ Mars says, Keith whines, no singing. Okay.
Yeah, he sings about as well as Paula Abdul. They both have that nasal quality.
We threw her name in there too. That's true. It's true. She's just sick of dancing.
Oh, look at this. Caslu, blessed Saturday, sunrises and shared. Great shows and info. Thank you. And I'm going to say something. I'll save it to after we finish offline. I included something new in the trailer, so I think that it just goes in very timely with what you just said. Okay. JJ Marr says in Colorado, -2 degrees here.
Wow.
So it's a cold in a lot of areas of the United States. Like there's a National Football League game that was supposed to be in Buffalo tomorrow. They canceled it and rescheduled it for Monday. You know what? Martin Luther King Day's on Monday, holiday.
Yes.
We didn't include
that's
that.
the actual. That's his actual birthday this year.
Birthday. Mm-hmm.
So before we get into our other topics, thoughts, ladies, on Martin Luther King and or his legacy? Where does it stand today? Does it still resonate in the Black environment?
It still resonates. It will be abused on Monday. I expect to see a lot of Republicans quoting King very disingenuously. Meanwhile,
all out of context.
Ron DeSantis especially quoting Martin Luther King. Meanwhile, he's trying to stop Black people from learning. So, come on. Meanwhile, his state was banning King books. So he better not say anything because he will get dragged by Black Twitter. Or X.
But he doesn't care. But that's the point. He doesn't care. That's not his agenda. He doesn't care.
He has no Black friends.
We didn't include
this. He don't even claim to know he's got Black friends.
Look, and the one Black friend Nikki Haley has is her son-in-law.
Oh gosh, you guys are already going in, and we haven't started. Okay, well, no, it's okay. I just wanted to ask you. We didn't put it as a conversation about isn't the Iowa caucus supposed to be on Monday too?
Monday, yes.
On the Martin Luther King holiday, they have the Iowa Republican caucus. Interesting.
Well, it's usually like the third Monday of January. So regardless, it was as is the King Day. And you would think they would have it earlier in the day since a lot of people have it off, but they have it at night. So, and it's supposed to be -22.
Yes, they're concerned about. Yeah, they're concerned. Yeah, they're concerned about voter turnout. Oh yes, they are very, very concerned about that big time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the appetizer.
I don't like those numbers.
You want to see +22, not -22, right?
Right. Anything
Celsius.
Celsius.
Even Celsius is even better, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get appetizers done. Actually, I think we just put the early part, just call it the appetizer. I think that'd be. Yeah. Just you know what?
That.
Yeah, I'm just gonna create a lower third, the appetizer. Yeah, there we go. Done. Yeah. We'll put it in. All right. Let's get to the main course. Start of the main course. First course, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin kept cancer diagnosis from the White House. I heard a lot about this, and I'm questioning why.
Exactly. That's my point too. I mean, I understand that he is Secretary of Defense, and we're engaged in some struggles right now that require our Secretary of Defense to be on point. But this is a fallacy of not having a protocol that no other administration had either. I think that we need to give him some grace, because finding out you have cancer, it's not like you got a new job, had a new baby, got a new car, and the first thing you go, hey, guess what? No.
Right.
Who goes out and says, hey, guess what? I got cancer. No one does that. And also too, you can't really give a whole lot of information to people, because the question would be, well, what's the prognosis? What's this? What's that? The first thing is you get tested. The second thing is they tell you. Then you have to go back for more tests so that they can give you a prognosis. So I don't see why. First of all, he had the surgery for it. He followed protocol. He put the person, his deputy, there, in his place, because he was going to be under general anesthesia. And at that point, for people to say that he kept the cancer diagnosis from the White House, just because the White House hasn't said anything, doesn't mean that Joe Biden didn't know. And I would expect that if he did give his powers to his deputy, that Joe Biden did know about that part. The other thing is that's separate from this is that he had complications from the surgery. That's what caused him to go in the hospital. And I can understand no one reaching out, because if you're the person, and if you've ever been with anyone who's been in ICU, I've been there with my sister, that person is not capable of doing anything. They have to rely on the people who care about them, who are there to do it. And I'm sorry, but I don't think the first thing in his wife's mind when her husband diagnosed with cancer, had a complication from the surgery, and if he was in ICU, it was pretty dire. That she was first of all thinking, "Oh my God, I got to call Joe Biden." And he, eventually they did call someone, but that person happened to be out with the flu. Now, we have to ask the question, did she tell him she was out with the flu? Because she might not have, and that's why the media didn't get it. The problem isn't so much that the communication with the White House was off. People are using that as a red herring. The problem is that journalists are mad because they didn't get to get a scoop. One.
Yes.
And two, Americans are so nosy. Okay. People are mad that they didn't get to know all his business when he found out. Guess what?
They feel entitled. America feels entitled about everything. They need to know everything.
And don't forget, we've got HIPAA laws.
Right.
That govern privacy.
Don't forget that. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
So we don't know what they knew. They're keeping that stuff close to the vest. And guess what? Maybe we shouldn't know.
I don't want to know, but I admire the fact, because the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Oh my God, here comes the witch hunt." That was the exact words that I said. I don't like the way that it was handled. It happened the way that it handled. And guess what? He came out and said he don't like the way that it was handled either. Right. So you know what? It was on he knew, and it was on his heart, and he knew. He was like, listen, that didn't go the way it was supposed to be planned. And, sometimes it just happens that way. I feel like people are trying to make a big deal out of everything now. Next thing you know, they're going to be calling for his impeachment or make him step down too, because that's what the GOP does.
I don't think
they always want to call for somebody.
Call for an impeachment here. You know why? Because I think it was very strategic by the White House in the Department of Defense in how they released the information about the cancer.
Yeah.
Because they did it the day before the Republican primary, because no doubt that was going to come up in that primary as a question. And then when they said that, that's something they had to pivot away from, because guess what? You impeach a man that has cancer when every American, no matter what your party affiliation, has been touched by this disease in some way, some form or fashion. People are going to hate you.
I want to believe that, Aisha, but I feel like they're so corrupt right now that they just don't care. I know that, and I want to believe that so bad, but nothing that they do right now surprises me.
If this was last year, if this had happened before, because right now we're 10 months away from an election where they're all coming up for election. So because we're 10 months away, I think that if it had come out, if this had happened and it had come out that it happened like in December, they would have went after
for the jugular.
But I think that because they are running races, they also have to remember that they don't speak to all the American people. They have to speak to their constituents.
Yes.
And that's a problem. That's a problem. Cancer is one of those diseases you just don't mess with.
Yep, I agree.
Because the thing is that could loosen the House a lot faster than abortion.
Yes.
Remember, they only have a 2-seat majority right now.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
That's right.
Does Mr. Austin's race have anything to do with the battering about this?
Of course it does.
I think so, yes, definitely at first. But then when it came out that it was cancer, it was like, oh my gosh, okay, that's everybody. That's not just something that happens to Black folks. That happens to everybody. And people have watched other people die from cancer. And if you've seen it, you know that's not. I still can't get out of my head the last time I saw each of my uncles that died from cancer.
It's devastating to see someone have to go through that and suffer so much. I mean, they become a shell of themselves, and it's really hard to see that and to see how much pain that they are in. So I agree. It's hell.
Yeah, because people don't leave the way that they looked, that you remember them. Everything is just they get the death look in their eyes, the death rattle in their voice. They've lost all their hair and everything, eyebrows, everything, so they don't look, and they lose a whole lot of weight. Everyone in my family that's had it, by the time they passed from it, were at like 60 something pounds. Like one of my uncles was 6'4".
So do you feel ethically, Mr. Austin, did you do something wrong?
Well, like I said, the process failed that they had in place. They're going to have to update the process. And it's just like, put it this way, it's just like when Kennedy was killed,
Yeah.
There's that process. But before that, when Lincoln was assassinated, there wasn't that process.
Right.
Okay. Of the Speaker of the House becoming, the vice, filling in as people moved up. So we don't know that we need those processes until they fail, until the communication fails.
So LaLa, you feel that race has a part in all this. How about what lens do you feel race has to do with this incident?
Other than they hate us on everything. They hate us on everything.
Oh God, other than they hate us. Okay.
We can't be great. We can't do anything right. We're not allowed. They're trying to take everything from us. So anytime that they could call a race card and then try not to say that it's a race card, they do. I'm tired. I'm tired of this battle. We should not be here. The world is moved beyond, not to say that everybody has, but to be honest, traveling a lot recently, I've noticed that this is not that much of a big deal around the world. People look at you funny sometimes, like, what do you mean? Because they don't get it. But America thrives in it, and it thrives in it every single day. So no matter how great we are, no matter how many times we've gone over and beyond 4 times what they have to, they are going to do something to try to bring us down. We're not, and we will talk later about another situation about that. So I think this is a clear cut case. And I'm with Aisha, once they found out it was cancer, then they're like, oh, I can't touch it. But if it was anything else, you better bet heads would have rolled.
And they're good at telling us slavery was 200 some odd years ago. Get over it. We've been here for 400 years. How about you get over it first?
Exactly.
And that's honestly,
I feel it plays a big part in absolutely everything that we do.
And think about it. They have a plan to take down the most powerful Black people in the country. In higher education, they took down the president of Harvard. They want to take down Kamala Harris. That's why they put out all these bots and things that have Democrats all up in arms and like, oh, Kamala's not doing a good, whatever, whining about that, going to shoot themselves in the foot. And then he is the most powerful man in the military. He is the Secretary of Defense of the United States, okay? He's the most powerful man in the military, and he happens to be Black. And if anyone knows anything about the legacy of Black people in the military, the first Black people early on in the military had to go through some real difficult stuff. Even the first person at West Point, when no one would talk to him, they would freeze him out. He wasn't allowed to join any of the clubs or anything. It's the same when we started going to colleges outside of HBCUs. It is the same everywhere. And here we are in 2023, and we are still having to do firsts. After being here for 400 years, still having to do first and getting resistance because people. Nancy Mace talked about white privilege this week with the Hunter Biden thing, which she has no definition of it, because if she knew it, the definition of white privilege is expecting that positions of power that are held by Black people belong to you. When you
Aisha and now on the same page. I'm gonna tell you something. I already wrote that down in my book. Wrote it down in my book.
Expecting that those positions belong to you. To when people say, oh, this Black woman took my job. Did you apply for it? Did you have the credentials for it? No, but I could have been considered for it. Why?
Well, I could have been
How and why? How and why?
Right. Woo!
Do you have a PhD?
Okay, I think we've got to look at this. So J.G. Marsh says Black American soldiers were far more patriotic and loyal than whites in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
J.J.
You
Marsh.
ain't got no fight on me from that one.
Okay. All right. We are on a fire start. So let's go to our next conversation piece.
Well, before we get started
Oh,
on that,
okay.
before we get started, my fire alarm is beeping.
Okay. So we're gonna let you go.
For
And
a
hopefully
second.
we'll be back. You'll be back in a second. All right. So we're gonna
I think that's pretty important, don't you?
yeah, I said no, stay. Burn your house down, but stay. Come on now. No, we don't roll like that. Let's go. Okay, Heather Harris says we can't rationalize other people's fantasies.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Good evening. Good evening. Excuse me, Heather Harris, who many a time is watching The Morning Vibe, which I co-host and co-produce with Ryan Only Night on Monday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Just going to clear my throat. So I'm going to put myself on mute for a second.
Some cooties been going around. You got cooties?
Yeah, the cooties. I got the cooties. All right. I think. All right. The house is still standing.
Oh yes, the house is still standing. Just we were cooking dinner one night and things got a little smoky. Things got a little smoky in my oven, and the fire alarm had gone off, and we were trying to get it off, and I think the battery might have died, so it started beeping randomly.
Do you still have dinner though?
That's the question. Yes.
Yeah, we had dinner. Like sometimes something will spill at the bottom of the oven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at this. Fitness IQ Cam says ginger. I have some in the fridge. I have some.
Yes, I keep ginger. I'm
gonna have some boiled ginger after this epic conversation. Thank you, Fitness
Ginger and lemon.
Ginger and lemon. I've got lemons on the table. I've got ginger on the table. Fitness IQ Cam, otherwise known as KSFEYLRWFQ. Thank you so much. All right.
And the best way to get the juices out the ginger is to grate it.
Yes. Actually, I just recently brought a grater that actually
did you?
No, I have always had one, but I had a grater, but it has a tray at the bottom. So when you shred, it just goes right into the tray. So
don't you just love the simple things like that? Oh,
it's nice to have simple things once in a while. You think?
It's fun in games until you grate your fingers.
Oh,
right.
which I did when I was about 10.
Ouch.
I grated my fingers. The potato peeler. I peeled off a layer of skin off my thumb.
Oh,
these are all the young, these are all the young antics. Like crashed into a parked truck on my bike, cut my knuckles. So
I didn't know that your middle name was Daredevil.
I still have the scar. I've used to climb trees, and I've fallen out of a probably about 15 to 20 feet from the tree. Landed on my cousin because we both fell off the tree together because we used to climb trees, sit up there, play and talk, and we were pretend wrestling. Both of us fell. I sprained both ankles. She sprained one ankle, and I also sprained a wrist. Still had to do ballet though. On my sprained ankles.
Ouch.
Oh wow.
On my
I put the tailbone. Being tomboy, I was up in them trees too.
Yeah. Look, I've jumped off of things when my youngest sister, she told me she could fly, jumped off the countertop. I told her, go ahead and fly. And she twisted her mouth because she hit the tub. So yeah, we were rough.
Okay.
And I passed it on down to my kid because every day she's come up with a scraped up knee.
Well, Staggers, aka Daredevil. All right, let's continue on. That was an interesting little turn. See what happens when you put your place on fire? We find out more about you. All right. Let's let's go. Next up, Hunter Biden makes a surprise appearance at contempt
Oh,
of
I loved
Congress.
it. I just loved when he strode himself right up in there.
That was some
Through the
beautiful
wall,
TV.
look,
No,
there was
the best part was when he left.
Yes.
The best part was when he left, because as soon as Marjorie Taylor Greene started talking, he got up and left. And guess what? All the press left with him. So she
Sure
couldn't get
did.
her little 2 minutes of TV, right? Like she wanted, which was so
Oh,
funny.
she wanted to say things so bad. You know, like when she said, "Yeah, you must be scared of me," or something like that. Ain't nobody scared of you, Three Toes.
Right.
Not one person.
You look like a Neanderthal. Ain't nobody scared of that. That's the stuff
No, I
nightmares
was
are made of.
I was
but
there
still.
for it. I was like squealing. I was like, I'm so glad you walked in. I mean, because you know what? It's about time that he dishes something back at them. Because honestly, this is, like I said, this is nothing but a witch hunt. The man has never held office. You know, listen, my brothers, my two brothers, struggled so hard with addiction,
As did
and
my
the fact
father.
that this man is walking around clean right now is something to be celebrated. And yet you want to continue to trash this man at every cost you have. They make up stuff, and it's a tit for tat thing. See, they want so bad to get him, but they didn't say not one word about Trump's kids and marriages and all that stuff. Not one.
Donald Jr. literally has done YouTube videos with white dust on his nose. Come on.
Yes. Yet they still going after this man. I'm done with it, because the government is not functioning, and it's to our detriment. We are getting close to a shutdown again, and you're still trying to hunt Hunter Biden. Come on now, I'm done.
And what's so bad is that they extended the gap to February 6th just so they can continue these charades.
Yes. It's really quite, we're not functioning. There's nothing working in the United States. Nothing.
No, what we need congressional hearings about is the very thing. One of our conversation topics about those 15 states that turned down aid to help childhood hunger. That needs a hearing. Those governors need to come and testify, as opposed to Hunter Biden. Look, the other thing too that got me, Josh Moskowitz, he was there and he said, you know what? After Nancy Mace said she voted for in contempt charges, whatever. Well, anybody of you on the other side, he said, you know what? I'll vote for contempt charges right along with you, but you all have to agree to a contempt vote for Jim Jordan.
Yes.
Perry, who, by the way, Scott Perry, he was in the room. He was one of those there. Representative Big, who was also there. So it is peak white privilege what they did, Nancy Mace. Just so you know, because Nancy Mace said it is the epitome of white privilege that you came in here and said, no, it's not. No, it's not. It is the epitome of calling your bluff. He was there.
Exactly.
You had the opportunity.
And y'all didn't know what to do with it. Because actually someone said,
right.
Somebody, I can't remember who said he was a Democrat. He said
it was Dan Goldman. He said, "Who's ready to vote right now?"
Ask some questions. They didn't have no questions.
They all said that they didn't want to, and the reason they don't want to is because what they did, what they wanted to do, was to get him in. Because remember, the last time that they had people in an open hearing, which was his business partner, they didn't get what they wanted, and it blew up in their faces. So what they want to do is go have a private deposition, because they know that once it comes out, their people aren't going to read it. They want to be able to go on Fox News, go on Newsmax, go on all these other conservative places and be able to say, well, we got definitive proof of this and that. And it'll be a daggone lie.
Yeah, everything's a lie.
Okay, just want that we have some comments here. Regina's in the house. Regina says Hunter is the ultimate red herring.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Heather Harris
Yeah.
on Facebook is saying Dr. Melissa Harris Perry might call these stories weapons of mass destruction. She says, correct, might call these weapons of mass destruction, she says.
Yeah, and you know what's so bad? They still have not connected any of the Hunter Biden stuff to Joe Biden. Their math isn't mathing, because they're like, well, Hunter Biden, he got money from these foreign governments and all, and when he had to pay his father back, that's how he paid him back. Guess what? Joe Biden didn't knowingly take money from foreign governments.
No, he did not.
He took a payback of a loan he gave to his son and a payback from his brother. They can't even prove that his brother was getting money from these things. And for them to say, too, this is also one of those weapons of mass distraction. They say that Hunter Biden had a job he was not qualified for. Hunter Biden, did you all know that Hunter Biden went to Harvard? Did you all know that he was an attorney? He was clearly qualified for whatever it was he was doing with Ukraine.
They're not going to let it go. Like I said, they're going to stick to this story.
I was yesterday years old when I found out that Hunter Biden went to Harvard and was a lawyer.
I just want to correct Heather. I said weapons. I hope I said mass distraction. I may have said destruction, but I want to say weapons of mass distraction.
Well, it is mass destruction of the truth.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Call it like you see it. You said you didn't have no blurb. That wasn't a blooper.
Thank you.
That was subconscious.
Thank you for the autocorrect. I love that. I've got my own autocorrect, and I got my own AI. I got HI. I don't got AI. I got HI. I love it. It sounds like the Republicans are not going to let this go until they find something.
There's nothing to find.
Because
there's nothing to find.
It doesn't matter if they find it or not. They are still going to do this vote. They're trying to look like they're doing all the procedural stuff correctly, but they're going to vote on impeachment regardless. Just like they're trying to impeach Mayorkas. That hearing was going on at the same time as the one that Hunter Biden was at.
Yes.
I watched a bit of that. And the questions that they kept asking was, and Mayorkas was like, well, that's not my job. That's not my job. Did you do this and this and this? He's like, no, I didn't do it directly. I didn't do it. That's so-and-so did that. And he was just like, no, I didn't. You know, they were this close to blaming him for Abbott and DeSantis sending migrants to other states.
That's right. And then he would answer, like they would throw these stupid questions out that is not a yes or no answer, yet they wanted a yes or no answer. And so he did answer one, and then it was a witch hunt. No, you shut up. You already said it. So I'm claiming my time.
Oh God, yes.
I just thought they were going to blow up. I mean, their faces turn red. It's ridiculous. They can't function.
Because it's going to be it's going to be a harder route to impeachment for him than it is for Joe Biden. The thing for Joe Biden, they're going to make that up. It's going to be very specious. They're going to do it because it's what Donald Trump wants. So when he runs, he can say, "Well, he was impeached too. He was impeached too." That's
what
all
I
he
tell
wants
you,
to say.
tit for tat. You did this to me, so I could do it to you.
He's a third grader. He's a third grader.
Yep.
You know, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? Stop borrowing from Pee Wee Herman.
You know what, Aisha? Did you read my notebook before we started? Because I got that written down too.
Nah, like minds, great minds think alike.
Pee Wee, the late Pee Wee Herman. Oh my gosh, I know you are, but what am I? Oh gosh. Oh God.
Can't you tell we're all 80s kids?
Oh my
man.
In the 80s.
Oh my goodness. So
From Keith Sweat to Paul Abdul to
oh,
Pee Wee Herman. Yes, the 80s rule.
dare I say that's quite a threesome, but let's go on to so so absolutely. So this Hunter Biden thing, they're gonna are the Republicans gonna be dragging it through all through during election
Yes.
season?
I don't think
Yes.
so. I think they're going to
You
try and
don't?
get.
I think
I think
so.
they're going to try and get the vote before the end of the primaries. Because remember, primaries end in May, I believe, in some states.
That's too far.
I think, yeah, it's too far. But they're gonna make it so that when it's time for the general election, Joe Biden can go into it. I mean, Donald Trump can go into it saying that Joe Biden was impeached too. They're trying to give, because remember, he doesn't have a platform. There's no platform. There's nothing they're going to do on healthcare. There's nothing they're going to do to lower inflation. Nothing they're going to do to continue to lower gas prices. Nothing they're going to do to increase minimum wage in the different states. There's nothing that they are going to do. They don't have a platform. Their platform is grievance. So if Donald Trump has another thing that he can complain about that people haven't heard already, because right now he sounds like a broken record, they're going to make sure it happens.
I hope Aisha's right, because I honestly think we're going to hear about this for the rest of the year.
Well, I think that we're going to hear about it for the rest of the year, but I think that they're going to have the vote done, and then they're going to go out as surrogates for Donald Trump, and they're going to be able to say, "Well, Joe Biden's been impeached, so he doesn't. If he doesn't deserve the presidency, then Trump doesn't." And they're probably going to get. And I think the reason that they're going to get to it even faster is because remember, the Supreme Court,
Oh, yes.
February 8th, is going to rule or hear the case anyway, as to whether or not Trump should be kicked off the ballots in Colorado and in the other states. And so, they're gonna do it before that because they want Donald Trump to be able to go in there and say, well, Joe Biden's been impeached too, so why isn't he off the ballot?
Right.
Even though we know the reason he's off the ballot is because of the insurrection. But remember, the insurrection is tied to his second impeachment.
Yes.
So rather than saying, oh, because I did insurrection, no, that's not why. It's going to be because I was impeached.
Well, to me, from where I said whether he whatever 45 does, if you disagree with it, you know where it's going. Supreme Court.
Oh, yeah.
Always going to court, because guess what? It's always going to court because his long game is to run out the clock. He will continue to litigate things. He has been litigious ever since the 70s in New York. He's been
litigious since he's come out the womb.
Right. He has been in court ever since he took over business. He started running businesses. He has been in court every year. And I mean, dude, we still haven't gotten your tax returns. Are they still under audit after 30 years? Come on now. There's that. And then the other thing too is that with all of these court cases, he is going to then campaign on getting money that people think it's going to help him.
Exactly.
It is, I mean, his lawyer literally said this week that he could shoot his political rivals.
Yeah.
He could kill his
he's always said crazy things like that.
He said it in court. That was his immunity.
That's messy.
That was his
I want to throw up. I mean, I just really do. And he just makes me sick to my stomach. I don't understand how we are still here when it's so very clear. Everything is clear. Had this been anyone else, had it been a regular citizen or a regular businessman, they would have already been under the jail. Okay. Why this man is getting where he is now, I want to understand. I do understand, but at some point you think, y'all can't be that stupid, can you? But they are.
If any one of us incited violence, we would be sitting in jail until our trials. He incited violence. 5 people died. A number of Capitol Police committed suicide afterwards. People are permanently disabled as a result of it.
Wow.
He's still
Yes.
calling for violence, and
Yes.
he is free. Put it this way: his lawyer argued that he could go and shoot his political rival. One of his political rivals is president.
There you
Any one
go.
of us say that we could kill a president, Secret Service is at our door 5 minutes
Before we can even blink an eye.
before we'd even be off this podcast.
Yes.
Wow. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. All right, let's continue on with our next conversation piece. Formerly expelled Tennessee House lawmaker says he's been stripped from committee assignment. I did not know about this till both of you ladies brought up on our chat this afternoon. What is going on with this story?
Well, for one, they've wanted them out from the very beginning because you see the Tennessee three, all stand for what the people have voted them in for. It is against absolutely everything that GOP wants down there. So they are not only a thorn in their side, they've got a whole full-fledged vampire stake in their side because they're calling them out. They're letting the public know. They're vocal about it. And not only that, GOP lost in the fact that, they expelled them and they got right back in there again. The people have spoken, but still yet they're trying to do whatever they can to silence their voices. So where do you get them? You get them in the committees. You get them on little technicalities so that you can do your dirty deeds. And then
Right,
possibly maybe you'll get back in. It's all a time thing. They want to vote these things before they can get him back on these committees before the public outcry comes. It's a plot and it's a ploy.
And you got to remember, state legislative sessions are very short. They start in January, and most of them are over by June. So they've got a very short window. Some places, like Maryland, has a 90-day legislative session for their state legislature. So you've got a lot of work to do in a very little amount of time. They kicked him off of the education committee because he objected to the voucher system that they want to put in place. Now, remember, Tennessee is the home of the Klan. That is where they were founded. Okay.
Yes.
So all these people have that dirt under their nails that are in that chamber. But the voucher system, here's the problem. We wouldn't need school vouchers if people invested more money into public schools. The way that what the voucher system allows for, and it's probably an unjust voucher system, because here's the thing: you're going to give people the money, you're going to let the money follow the kid so they can go to private school. But it's not going to be Tennessee does not have a large amount of money per pupil, which is very low. It's very low. And that amount would follow the kid, but then the parents would have to pay the rest, which would be couple tens of thousands of dollars. So what does that mean?
Who has that laying around?
Right. That means that poor kids, Black kids, Latino kids in that environment will not be able to get out of the underfunded, understaffed, overcrowded schools.
Which is their agenda. That's what they want anyway.
It is their agenda because the next step, and I believe Florida is on this path too, because the next step is to privatize education.
Yeah, education for profit. Now, what else does this remind you of? How about the prisons for profit? How's that working for us?
It's the same just so thing. You know,
it's the same thing.
We have no constitutional right to an education. Just in case you didn't know that. The school buildings have to be open. The facility itself has to not discriminate, but you don't have a constitutional right for an education. So if they decide to privatize education throughout the state of Tennessee, what does that mean? Here's the caveat to that. You don't have a right to a public education. But every state has a compulsory attendance law. So if your kid does not go to school and you cannot afford to send your kid to a private school, you will go to jail as a parent. compulsory attendance.
Oh, Aisha. Oh, I would.
Well, I think on that one, I
I
think
wasn't even ready for that. I did not know that. I did not know that.
Hmm. If you, because the other thing too is that homeschool, you can homeschool, you know, but what happens with parent, the option they'll be giving you is that either your kid can go to private school or you can homeschool. Well, I can't afford to
Well,
not
there
work.
you go.
What? Oh, but I bet you with the homeschooling, that money that will not follow the child. Because if it
No.
did, then a parent could homeschool and use that as their salary. But no. So
wow.
so compulsory attendance would mean that parents would go to jail. And guess what? Guess what that does? There are a lot of politicians that invest in prison for profit. So they need to fill them up
Same
somehow.
playbook.
All
Same
right.
playbook.
Hmm.
You see
Okay.
how that's working.
Oh boy. All right. Well, look, we're going to take a break on Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. And when we come back, we're going to talk about food insecurity in the United States and states who are voting not to provide food to U.S. citizens. Really?
Children.
Yes. Yes. Children.
Children.
So we're going to be back in 90 seconds. Keep it locked on Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harry Tubman of the mind.
I
I
am.
feel like I'm one of the Harry Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. Now, really, the
Yeah.
rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room
Overly
and
sexualized Black
over
folks.
like the twerkers and the just people that don't always represent the best of us, the diversity, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe.
They
Dr.
really
Vibe is
should.
he's trying to do good work for Black people.
Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. A lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
What is up, Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, as always. And I actually had a conversation yesterday with Dr. Boyce, and he said, love what Aisha and Lala are doing. Happy to have them on board with y'all. So we appreciate that. And also cannot forget Dr. Alicia also. So we're on Primetime Saturday, and we are back. And this is a really, a lot of these stories are really disturbing, but this one, I'm shaking my head at. 15 states shut out food aid for 8 million children in the United States. What's going on with that?
Well, we
Oh,
have
this is coming from the people who claim that they love children.
but they're fiscally conservative. We've got 50 states in this country. 35 have accepted the supplemental food aid for 8 million children who are living in poverty. Well, not more than 8 million children, but for children who are living in poverty. But mostly what this will do will give additional funding so that the kids can get meals over the summer when they're out of school and can't get, because remember, a lot of kids get their only 2 meals of the day from school, breakfast and lunch. So in all it is an additional like $40 per child, per month,
Right.
for the summer. And 15 states, as you can guess, they are the lower half, the southern states, and then those states right around North Dakota, up through Idaho, Montana, all those states, said no.
No.
Now, here's the thing.
Now, mind you, though, I will interject. Sorry, Aisha, didn't mean to interrupt, because I did a little bit of research on this as well. At first, they were reporting that all 15 of these states was all GOP led. But that's not true. There is one state, Louisiana, rejected it, and that is Democratic.
Right. And they likely rejected it because their state legislature voted to turn it down.
Right.
And which is not democratic. So this is a program that's already been paid for. It was already included in the last budget. Okay? The budget agreement that they did, already included in that budget. It's not money that we will have to pay for later down the road and raise taxes or anything. It's already paid for. So that money will just sit there. The federal government, it will just sit there. And kids will go
all
home.
For a point. Well, these children are going to starve, all for political upheaval ridiculousness. And for people who claim that they, want babies, you're going to have these babies, we ain't going to feed them, though. That is exactly how they work. This is such a nasty thing that they're doing. And to be honest, guys, it's not always just our Black and brown babies. There are a lot of Caucasian families as well that will qualify for this program, working class people, because
that's
we're
the
looking at the states we're
majority.
in.
That's
Yeah,
the majority. Let's be very clear. The families who get food stamps, SNAP benefits, there are more white families getting it than Black and brown families.
Yeah.
Why is that? Which is the part they don't want to talk about. Why is that? Because numerically, white people outnumber these communities of color in the United States. And so they are, and it's their own constituencies. That's the part that really kills me. You talking about the South?
I never understand that.
South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, all those states that said no, and Texas, all those states that said no. What about your poor rural white kids? And
it's the same reason I don't understand.
And they still
every
will vote for these people.
That's right. And we've always said that in Kentucky, like, you've got all this going on, the poorest of the poor in the Appalachian Mountains, and they vote for GOP every single time. I do not understand their mentality.
Kentucky took it.
Yeah, they did. They did. You notice that.
If Cameron had won.
Exactly.
He would not have taken it.
Nope.
Again, it goes back to that saying, the cruelty is the point. So
yes.
you're gonna get revenge on parents through the kids. The kids cannot control what the salaries are in the home.
Won't even provide food for children now.
No.
Wow.
And don't get it wrong now. Hey, they've been aiming at WIC forever. And this is tied into getting rid of WIC, period.
Yeah, because the first step to doing this was they had cut the extended SNAP benefits from COVID. Some of this money is still left over from COVID.
Yes.
Kidding.
Huh? No, I'm serious.
You're kidding.
No, some of this money for these things is still left over from COVID. And they're saying no. Why? Because they can't admit that their leader, their little leader, as Jasmine Crockett called him,
I know it. I love it.
Notched up the COVID response. I mean, here's another thing. Donald Trump let 1 million people die on his watch because he couldn't admit that he failed at something. When's he going to face trial for that?
Never. Because I'm starting to feel very discouraged about everything. I mean, he just gets away with everything. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. But let 8 million children starve, right?
Wow.
And then complain about these kids when they start doing crime.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to want to stay in school and you know, over the summertime, if you keep certain kids out of crime in the summertime by feeding them.
That's right.
If they
Something
cannot
as simple as that.
if they cannot get
Simple as
fed,
that.
people will steal food. And the stores are already complaining about the thefts.
Yes, they are, and shutting down in the rural areas. That is
Shutting
the
down the
first
poor
place that they're
areas.
doing. I mean, just exactly. And this is a sad story. Sorry, and now it's gonna have me thinking about something. There's a coffee shop in Kentucky that, and I won't say the name, but they were priding themselves on being a local coffee shop that was an alternative to the big conglomerate, and they stood with Black Lives Matter, and they stood with equality, and they stood with the rainbow, but yet they refused to open a store in the neighborhoods that they claim that they stand with. Instead, they'll put these stores in different areas. This is exactly what is happening. You know, well, we'll get down there and we may get robbed, or we blah blah blah. But this is the thing: you can't double talk. You can't talk out of both sides of your necks. Either you are or you aren't. But that's what everything is now: talking out the side of your necks.
Yep, we
And
have
the
a lot of
GOP is really good at that.
We have in cities and in rural areas, one thing that suburbs don't have are food deserts. Okay. And they're called food deserts because there's no place where people can get the food that they need. There's no place where they can get healthy foods or anything.
Food.
It's sad because like do you know who's providing food in rural areas many times? Walmart. There's
Wow.
you have those rural communities. They might not have a grocery store, but they'll have a Walmart. That's where they go to get everything, and they'll have nothing else. One stoplight. That's it. You in the inner cities, you're lucky if you have a corner store. But to get to a grocery store, you can buy fresh fruits and vegetables to keep your family healthy. No, and if there is a grocery store, 9 times out of 10, they don't have fresh produce.
No,
they don't have fresh
and to be honest, they have subpar meat. Let's not just talk about the fresh fruits and vegetables
if they sell meat at all. Sometimes
at all.
they have are freezer items and non-perishable
Processed foods.
You know, this is interesting. I'm just going to interject from what I think 3 of the biggest challenges in North America, because Canada has a food insecurity, growing food insecurity challenge. But I think the 3 of the biggest challenges: immigration, food insecurity, and home insecurity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Home insecurity is not being talked about, but it's a big, big challenge.
And let's be real, okay? If our democracy fails, these things will get 100 times worse.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
it's Aisha. It's interesting you mentioned about the food and all that. I have a longtime friend who's worked at a grocery store that I shop at all the time, and I went in there the other day and wanted. This is before I really cut down my protein, like chicken meat consumption, and there was some I think it was some chicken or beef that was on sale. He says, "Don't buy that," and I go, "Why?" "Oh, it's grade B."
Yeah.
Meat from, I'm not going to say what country. He said it from a country. I said, okay. So the food security is a growing and challenge.
Yeah,
in North America, and I think it's a global challenge. I don't think it's just a North American thing. I have a feeling that if we went to we were we visit a number of countries, we'd find that there's a growing food and home insecurity. But this food aid shutout for 8 million children. Wow.
Yeah. It is disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you live in any of those states, it's time to mobilize. Call your people and have them just send a standard email to their governor. Flood their email boxes. Flood their email
what are the reasons?
And also, if they're up for election, get them out.
Here's my question: what are the reasoning for the opponents of this? What is their reasoning?
It costs too much. It's too expensive, but it's already paid for.
But it's paid for.
It's not fiscally responsible. We have to cut the deficit. Here's the thing: when there's money earmarked for a specific thing in the government, You cannot use it for anything else. That is the
Right.
rule. That is the law. So if the money is for food aid for children, they can't take that
Children.
money-
Let's repeat that again.
Right.
Children.
Children. They can't take that money and apply it to the deficit. So the argument is very, very disingenuous.
It's the Jedi mind trick. That's what they do. Oh, we're going to be doing this. And the next thing, everybody believes it because they don't do their research. When Aisha just clearly stated exactly what the truth is, they'll never admit to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I think we have a good segue into our next conversation topic, because I know that one of Lala's favorite Jedis is a gentleman named Elon Musk. And you set this next one up wonderfully, Aisha and Lala. Lala just did a beautiful. Elon Musk seems to endorse tweets saying that students at Black colleges have low IQs.
I went to an HBCU. My sisters both went to HBCUs.
My husband went to an HBCU.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, my closest friends all went to HBCUs. I'm going to tell you something. HBCUs graduate the most Black students that go on to earn PhDs than any other kind of college in this country. Okay. You know why? He's guess what? Saying that Elon doesn't reduce their enrollment. It's only going to increase their enrollment. And that's a good thing. Why? Because that means more money to HBCUs. But let me tell you something. He's so dumb that if you were to close the biggest land grant institutions, because a lot of the HBCUs that are state schools are land grant institutions, which means they bring federal money to the state. Okay? They bring federal money to the state. They bring additional tax revenues to the state because students go there. They're mostly in the South. Do you know how quickly the South will dry up if you take away funding to those land grant institutions? So what he's saying is ridiculous. He's saying it to pick on people. And
that's all he's good at, is to pick on people. He's good for nothing else.
But let's remember this, America. Our distinguished vice president, who is also a senator from California, who was also the attorney general for the state of California, went to Howard University and HBCU. Okay.
But that's also a direct stab at her because he can't stand her. But listen here, dude, maybe you ought to get your cars in check before you start talking about somebody else. All this stemmed from.
So basically, he also said that Martin Luther King, whose birthday's Monday, has a low IQ because Martin Luther King went to Morehouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm actually going to read a little bit from the story. So, because people say he did. What did he say? So the story here is Elon Musk seems to endorse tweets saying students at Black colleges have low IQs. The world's richest man shares some of his thoughts about race on X.com. Elon Musk endorsed a tweet Tuesday suggested graduates from historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, have IQs approaching, quote, borderline intellectual impairment, unquote. This isn't the first time that the billionaire celebrated blatant bigotry on his platform in recent months. In November, Musk promoted a tweet that said, Jews push, quote, hatred against whites, unquote. So this example deals with the United Airlines program announced in 2021 that gives students at 3 HBCUs the opportunity to interview with the company's career development program for pilots. On X, a platform formerly known as Twitter, a popular user called @IsLaShow went online to argue that the United program is dangerous because graduates from these colleges are unintelligent and therefore unfit to fly a plane. Quote, the mean IQ of grads from those two United Airline HBU partners is about 85 to 90 based on SATs at those schools. The SAT correlates reasonably well with IQ. @IsLaShow wrote, quote, HBCU IQ averages are within 10 points of the threshold of what be considered, quote, borderline intellectual impairment. The user went on to compare those numbers with typical IQ scores that claim to have dug deep to have dug up U.S. Air Force pilots and commercial airline pilots. So,
Okay, you know what?
oh
Okay.
well, just let me finish here. So, quote: it will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE. Musk responded, rearrange the letters of the acronym for diversity and inclusion initiatives, which encourage participation of Black people, women, and other historically underrepresented groups in the workplace.
He has
So,
issues with DEI. That's the whole problem. But here's the other
Yeah.
thing. Here's the other thing too. You would never know if a Black person went to an HBCU unless they tell you.
Nope.
Nobody wears their unless they wear a shirt or whatever. Unless they, I'm gonna warn you right now. If your dentist went to Vanderbilt anytime in the 2000s, they got their training at Meharry Medical College, which is an HBCU, even if they're white, because that Vanderbilt doesn't have a dental program. So they had to do a cross registration with Meharry to get that. They started that when my last year at Fisk, because Meharry Medical College right across the street from Fisk, and a lot of students went there. But here's the other thing too. When I was at Fisk, do you know the majority of the students in the graduate physics program were Indian immigrants? And you find that a lot at HBCUs too.
Yes.
And then what about the white kids that go to places like Harvard and Yale and choose to do a semester at HBCUs? Because that happens often too. What are you saying about their IQs? Or what about the IQs of the white students who go to HBCUs, and in some cases they can earn a lower GPA than the Black students get there in order to get in. So Elon Musk doesn't know what the hell he's talking about,
as usual.
And my thing is this: if you don't know anything about HBCUs, close your mouth. Because here's the history of HBCUs. And I wish I could have said this last week when our troll was saying, well, Spelman was started by funded by a pale woman. Here's the thing. Every HBCU, but there are a few that came after, but the majority of them started out at Reconstruction as normal schools to help the formerly enslaved learn how to read or write, because in slavery, they could not read or write. This was to help them to be able to get ahead. Well, if people who were enslaved couldn't read or write, and enslaved meaning they were not earning wages, how are they supposed to fund these schools themselves? But once they were able to, they did. Fisk University stands. We had Jubilee Hall because the Fisk University singers toured the country to raise money for that building on campus. Okay? So let's be very, very clear here. Elon Musk does not know the history, nor does he feel like he needs to be educated on it. He just doesn't, he talks out of a hole in his body, but it's not this one.
Exactly.
And not only does he sound stupid, he looks like he's the one with the low IQ, because all he did was requote a tweet of someone else who didn't know what they were talking about.
Nope.
And
but see, now all of his cronies, once again, you have these groupies. Anybody who has money automatically gets put on a pedestal. So whatever he says goes. And how insecure are you when someone can't even unfollow you on your own platform if they don't agree with you? You're just going to force it down their throat. I'm not on the platform. I mean, I just don't go on there anymore. But I know toward the end there, every time I open my app, the very first thing you would see is him and whatever he said. It was always something sickening or a lie or something that was completely racist.
Yeah. Thurgood Marshall went to an HBCU. Hazel O'Leary, who worked in the Clinton administration, went to an HBCU, and then eventually became president of one after she was president of Fisk for a while. So he would be very surprised about all these people who actually went to HBCUs. And so I'm going to be checking to see if Elon Musk says anything about Martin Luther King on Monday. And then I will go on Twitter and I will requote tweet it. And I will say, but he went to an HBCU, right?
All right.
He's already got his finger on the trigger, though, Aisha. I'm pretty sure he's ready.
He might be ready and he might ban me from it. I don't care. But the other thing, too, is that he cannot dispute that fact. He cannot argue that fact. That is a fact.
All right. Heather Harris catching up on comments saying, Howard in the house, PhD. So
my
Heather
sister, too.
Yes, PhD from Howard.
She got her undergrad and her PhD at Howard.
And my dad's a graduate of Howard. There you go. Positivehire.co. Thank you. Happy New Year. Michelle Hayward's in the house. Michelle also says college and libraries come from Black people.
Yep.
She also mentions Hillman College.
Yes.
Also,
there was a whole TV show.
Exactly.
A whole TV show. Hillman based on Hampton. Let's be clear.
Yes, and or white students who enroll at HBCUs. So
and see, that's the fallacy, is that the right has spread this lie that white students can't attend HBCUs. That's not true. If you've ever gone to one, you've seen several white people at HBCUs. Now, the one thing I don't appreciate is the regentrification that is going on, the gentrification that's going on in downtown DC, right smack in the middle of Howard's campus.
Oh,
they
yes.
took a path for just regular residents to walk through the campus. And I'm sorry, that to me, you would never, Yale is built around the city, but you don't see people in the city strolling through the old campus downtown. You don't see that. And
we were just there in August, and checked that out. I mean, it's so disrespectful.
And what people don't realize is there is sacred ground on our campuses. Okay.
Yes.
Our Greeks have their own property on the campus that belongs just to them. There are other places on campus that, like, for example, if any white person walked across white person, Black person who wasn't a graduate for 25 years or more, or 50 years, walked across the oval at Fisk, you're going to have some problems, because that right there is for the golden and silver sons and daughters, people who have been out, because that used to be slave ground. That's how we honor our ancestors. So some of these pieces of land, have special significance.
Yes.
Us, and to just be able to just walk through it like nothing, and not even take in the history of it, to me is ridiculous.
Oh, but remember, we benefited from slavery.
Oh, Ron DeSantis. Yeah. That's going to really get him elected across the country. He's going to win all the Black votes.
Well, depending how he does on Monday, by our next broadcast, he may have dropped out.
Oh,
I hope so, with his old horse mouth.
Okay.
Man can't smile or laugh for nothing. I mean,
oh my God, he was on Morning Joe. Yeah, was it yesterday? Yes, he was on Morning Joe yesterday or Thursday morning, and they were like, "We have Ron DeSantis here," and Ron DeSantis sat there like
he doesn't know how to smile.
He's like it hurt him to smile.
So Regina says Elon is sounding and looking more and more like Steve Bannon.
You mean Steve O'Clannon?
Oh, wow.
On point.
Regina says, I had many students choosing HBCUs over Ivy League schools. They were accepted at both.
And that happens quite often, because you know what? Here's the thing about HBCUs. And it's the one thing that they can't stand. It's a place where we can go and feel comfortable.
Yes.
I was lucky to have that 3 years there where I didn't have to experience the kind of racism on campus that I experienced undergrad. It was a safe community. Like you had your popularity, your regular stuff, but the race issue was not there. I sat in
No.
classes with people who looked like me. I got to study things about people who look like me.
Yes.
It was encouraged, so I just I got to intern at the Race Relations Institute at Fisk University under Dr. Winbush, who Dr. Vibe knows. That's how I ended up with him as my thesis advisor.
Wow.
And so these are things that you just don't get when you go to a predominantly white institution. If white kids can go to University of North Dakota and feel safe, how come our kids can't? And
Right.
don't forget, there are also predominantly Native American colleges in North Carolina and in the Plains areas. There are also predominantly Hispanic grant institutions as well.
I got to jump in here
Yes.
now. Aisha, you have more knowledge of this probably than myself. I don't know about Lala, but funding for HBCUs,
hmm
where does the majority of it come from?
Student tuitions, which most of these students are going into debt, taking out loans to pay
Right.
for.
Yes.
The ones that are land grant institutions do get funding from the federal government, not as much as they should, compared to the other land grant institutions that are not HBCUs.
So
Um,
this
and
is
they
where, go ahead.
and they do get funding from different grantors.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge again is getting money from donors. We don't have big dollar donors as we
Exactly.
should
Endowment funds are that big.
because the students end up being in so much debt.
That-
But there
Yes.
were some big people who were giving money. Like Oprah gives money to Tennessee State University because she's an alum. Bill Cosby and Camille
Yeah.
Cosby
Uh,
used to give money to HBCUs.
Yeah.
It's
They had at
interesting.
one point gave money to Fisk to build a dorm with their name on it. Of course, I think they've taken the name down, but there are some people who are, Spike Lee gives to Morehouse. So there are some people that do it, but not enough.
Well, I
Right.
guess this is what and you mentioned one of the funding sources. If there's a change in the administration next election, how much impact will that have on federal funds to HBCUs, in your opinion?
Well, Donald Trump likes to brag that he got all this money for HBCUs. No, he promised it. He invited the presidents there to say that he was going to do it for a photo op. But every last one of
Just
those
like the
presidents,
big Bible scene.
every last one of those presidents has said that no, they didn't get the money they were promised. They got more.
Nope.
And here's the thing for any of these Black people out here who have issues with Barack Obama, HBCUs actually got the most under Barack Obama. Joe Biden has upped that ante. So yeah, so if you want money to go to HBCUs, you need a Democrat.
Vote appropriately.
All right. Let's get to our last conversation piece, something I did not know of until the ladies brought it to my attention. Regina King stars as Shirley Chisholm in Netflix Shirley trailer. I had no
Yes.
idea. Actually,
I
I
love
was
that we're ending on good notes.
yeah,
After all
I was
yeah.
actually I had a conversation today with Heather Harris, who's I think she's still watching this live, and I mentioned this to her. She goes, "Oh, I'm a huge Shirley Chisholm, and I'm a huge Regina King fan." She had such a big smile when I shared this. So, who wants to talk about this? Sounds like it's going to be a very
Oh,
epic.
I saw the
Event.
trailer and
Yeah,
it is
oh my God.
powerful. It is so
It
powerful.
really is.
Regina King looks just like her. Got the mannerisms down. If she does not win an Oscar or an Emmy for this or a Golden Globe for it, there's no justice in the arts, in the theater arts, because first of all, Shirley Chisholm, I'm so glad that she's getting a film.
Yes, me
First of all,
too.
and people forget she was first, the first Black and woman to run as president for a major political party.
And such a powerful
And
story.
so powerful. So, I mean, you know, if you ever get a chance, there's also a documentary called Shirley Chisholm Unbossed and Unbought or Unbothered.
Yes. Oh my God, that is so good.
It's
You
such a
have to
good
watch that.
documentary.
You
See that?
must watch that before the movie comes out.
Yes, it is an excellent. It's excellent, excellent. And if you remember, Kamala Harris, when she was running her own presidential campaign, took the colors, borrowed the colors from what Shirley Chisholm had done for her presidential campaign. So watch the trailer. Regina King is fabulous. You know what? We've been watching Regina King since she was little, and she was on 227.
Yes.
And the way that she has matured into her acting, into her craft, nope, there is nobody like her. Just, you know, there are very few child actors and actresses that grow up and are able to still work as adults, but she still works as an adult, but she's
With
got
quality.
with
I
quality.
mean,
And
quality.
with every film, every TV show, she gets better and better and better. And it just, I mean, I can't say enough about that trailer. Make sure you watch it. The film comes out
Isn't
March
she a
22nd
producer
on
on this
Netflix.
one too, though, Aisha?
Yes, she is.
Yes, she's a producer on this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she got
Work
the
your
money to get it done. She
magic.
got it done. So, March 22nd is when it comes out on Netflix. Make sure you watch it.
Yeah,
It's gonna be good,
I'm excited. I'm really excited for that.
and I'm glad it's coming on Netflix too.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, something to look forward to. Thank you as always, ladies. As always, another epic conversation has come to an end. Some additional comments we have. Regina says this: HBCUs are safe havens. A lot of Black students do not feel comfortable at primarily white colleges for many good reasons. Also says, even at prep school in New Hampshire, Exeter created a Black dorm because those students did not feel comfortable, safe in the white dorms. It's ironic too, because I actually had a conversation this week with a professor from Lane College.
Oh, wow.
Is it in Jackson? I don't remember the name of the city, but Lane College. It's an HBCU. So nothing just happens.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when I was an undergrad, I was the only Black student in one dorm I was in my junior year.
Wow.
Oh, all right. All
It
right.
was not pleasant. And I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something else. The white boys felt no shame coming to knock on my door at night.
Oh boy. Let's not go there right now. Regina says unbought and unbossed.
Yes, that one. That's the Shirley Chisholm documentary. Make sure you watch it.
There you go. Thank you, Regina. Thank you so much. Well, as always, family, we would like to thank Aisha LaLa for taking the time to drop knowledge bombs and share with us. So first things first, LaLa, the social media maven, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, you can find me on all social media platforms, unless you're on Twitter, at Living the La La Life.
Like I said, unless you're on Twitter. Okay. Aisha K.
I'm choosing peace this year. So you can find me on Instagram. You can find my account on Instagram. You might not find me, but you can always find me on our Discord channel.
Wonderful. Fantastic. And if you want to get in contact with myself, website, the DRVI. No, yes, it is the DRVIBESHOW.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the Dr. Vibe Show. That's the space DR period space vibe space show. Instagram at the DRVIBESHOW and X at DRVIBESHOW. So as always, before we close down, let me just do a few other things. You can also watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and also the website, the DRVIBESHOW.com. And as always, I've put it in your comment section, but we're just going to do a few other things. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. hit the subscribe and hit the notification button. Also, you can follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And again, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I host, please email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Here's the link for the Patreon Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa. Here's the link for the store. And I think that's it for now. I don't think we got anything else. And also, the information about the store and the Patreon is in the comment section wherever you're watching this live or on the replay. So let's finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're spreading the word. Hit that notification button. Go to our Discord group. Join our Discord group. Join the Patreon group. Watch all the stuff we're putting out. It is, I'm not the one saying it. Other people are saying it. It is outstanding. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith and walk good.